You just spent an hour in a meeting, and the output is a document that proves nothing. No owner, no deadline. 3 versions of the decision, in 3 people's notes. Someone says AI captured it, but now there are 5 extra bullet points nobody agreed to. 2 weeks later you have the same meeting again, because nothing actually changed. Meetings don't fail because people don't talk. They fail because nobody decides what the meeting is supposed to produce. Moving to slide 2, before you accept or run any meeting, force 1 sentence at the top of the invite, the decision intent. Pick one of 3 intents only: decision, update, or brainstorm. If you mix them, you guarantee mush. If it is a decision meeting, write the decision type, approve or reject. Choose one option, commit to a date, set a budget. Then write the exit criteria in plain language. We leave with option B chosen, owner assigned, and a ship date. If you cannot write exit criteria, you are not ready for a decision meeting. If it is an update, the exit is alignment, not action. Everyone understands status, risks, and next check-in. No surprise asks. If it is a brainstorm, the exit is a ranked list of candidates, not consensus. 10 ideas, top 3 selected for follow-up. Now the hard rule. If the organizer cannot state intent and exit criteria, cancel the meeting or convert it to async. Your calendar is not a therapy group. It is a decision engine, and the output has to be explicit enough to be recorded as an object. Moving to slide 3. Once the intent is clear, define the decision object so nobody can wiggle out of it later. Start with a single decision statement, written as a choice with a deadline. Decide by Friday whether we migrate billing to vendor X this quarter. 1 sentence, no paragraphs, then list the options, bounded, option A, B, C. If someone proposes option D in the meeting, it gets added to the list, not argued in the hallway later. Add constraints that matter like budget cap, security requirements, headcount limits, or contractual dates. Also write non-goals. If redesign the UI is not part of this, say so. Non-goals stop scope creep from hijacking the call. Assign one accountable owner who has the job of forcing the decision to land, not the note-taker, the owner. Then list stakeholders who must be consulted or informed, so you do not discover a veto after you commit. Finally, label reversibility and risk level. If it is reversible, decide fast. If it is one-way and high risk, demand stronger evidence and pre-mortems. When the decision object is crisp, AI can help. When it is fuzzy, AI just manufactures fake certainty. Moving to slide 4. Now capture the meeting with source integrity, or your notes will turn into fan fiction. Record audio when allowed. Keep the agenda. Save artifacts that were actually referenced, like docs, dashboards, and screenshots. When you write a claim, attach a timestamp or a link to the exact source. Separate facts from opinions, and store raw capture first, then the processed summary. Clean output is only useful when the trail is intact. Moving to slide 5. Turn what you captured into records, not more notes. Notes are disposable. Records are permanent. Create a decision log, 1 row per decision object. Date, final choice, owner, rationale, and links to the sources that justify it. That is what stops decisions being made twice. Keep meeting notes lightweight and temporary. They can be messy because they are not the system of truth. Maintain an action register that is trackable. Action, owner, due date, and status. If it cannot be tracked, it is not an action. Add a risk and assumption log for anything that could break the plan, plus what must be true for the decision to work. Then enforce one canonical system of record, one place where decisions, actions, risks, and assumptions live. Everything else is just input. That is where AI becomes useful, because it can triage chaos into the right record without rewriting history. Moving to slide 6. AI's job in your meetings is triage, not leadership, not strategy. Triage. You feed it the raw notes, the chat log, the calendar invite, and any prior decisions. It should pull out 5 things fast. First, the decisions that were actually made versus the ones that were only discussed. Second, the actions, each with a verb, an owner, and a due date. Third, the open questions that are blocking progress. Fourth, the missing owners, where everyone agreed something must happen, but nobody volunteered. And fifth, contradictions across meetings, like one group committing to a launch date while another quietly moved it. Then have it draft a decision record from your template and suggest the next smallest meeting that can close the remaining gaps. If AI is doing triage well, your time goes to judgment, not cleanup, and that is where lightweight governance starts to feel effortless. Moving to slide 7. Lightweight governance works when it is explicit, not bureaucratic. You define decision rights in plain language. You only use a RACI when ownership is genuinely unclear, not by default. You agree on an escalation path before you need it. You set quorum rules by decision type, and you timebox unresolved debates so they do not sprawl for weeks. When the rules are clear, you can insist on one more thing. No pre-read, no decision. Moving to slide 8. If you want faster decisions, you need a pre-read that is impossible to misunderstand. Keep it to 1 page. State the decision in 1 sentence, then list the options with the real trade-offs, not marketing language. Link to data sources instead of pasting screenshots, so people can verify context and timing. Add a short section called Open Questions, and be honest about what you do not know yet. Finally, set an asynchronous objections deadline with a clear channel to post concerns. That does 2 things. It separates thoughtful objections from performative debate, and it lets you walk into the meeting focused on choices, not discovery. When the pre-read is tight, the meeting can run on mechanics instead of improvisation. Moving to slide 9. In the decision meeting, you are not hosting a discussion, you are running a commitment process. Start by restating the decision in 1 line. If people cannot repeat it back, you are not ready to decide. Next, confirm the decision owner and their authority. If the most senior person is present but not the owner, say it out loud, so the room does not drift into permission seeking. Then review the options from the pre-read, including the default option of doing nothing. Spend time only where the trade-off changes the choice. If new information appears, park it as an open question with an owner and a deadline. Or consciously decide, despite uncertainty. When it is time, ask for the decision. Capture it in a single sentence, plus the why. Record dissent and the rationale, especially if someone expects a risk. That protects the team later, and often surfaces mitigation ideas. End by naming the next checkpoints, what would trigger revisiting the decision, and who will monitor those signals. A clean meeting ends with clarity that survives the room. Moving to slide 10. Closure is where most teams leak speed. Within 24 hours, publish the decision record in the one place everyone agrees is canonical. Include the final decision, the rationale, the considered options, and the dissent notes. Then auto-assign actions to named owners with due dates and push notifications to impacted teams, not just the people who attended. Add a short objection window. Make it explicit what counts as a valid objection, like missing data, a violated constraint, or a newly discovered dependency. After that window closes, lock the record so the decision does not quietly reopen in side chats. Finally, update the systems that drive real work. Put it on the roadmap. Update runbooks, adjust tickets and milestones. If the decision changes customer impact, update the relevant stakeholders list. When closure is routine, decisions stop being meetings you remember and start being momentum you can measure. Moving to slide 11. If you want faster, better decisions, measure decision throughput like you would measure delivery. Start with cycle time, from the moment someone raises a decision to the moment it is approved and acted on. Then track propose to decide time. How long proposals sit waiting for a real yes or no. Add reopen rate. How often a done decision gets dragged back because the scope, data, or owner was unclear. Watch for decision churn, the number of times the decision changes direction before landing. Pair that with action completion time, because a decision that does not ship is just talk. Count meetings per decision. If you need 3 meetings to decide what one doc could settle, you have a process problem. Now add 2 quality checks. Auditability score. Could a new teammate read 1 page and understand what was decided, why, and by whom? And citation coverage. Are the claims linked to the actual source, not vibes? When these metrics move together, you get speed without chaos, and you also spot the failure modes that quietly poison trust. Moving to slide 12. A few failure modes can wreck all of this. AI can generate a confident rationale that is not supported by the sources. Shadow decisions can happen in chat, bypassing the log. You can assign owners who do not have authority, so decisions stall. Logs can be rewritten quietly, erasing accountability. And governance can turn into bureaucracy, where the process becomes the work.
Keep it clean, simple, and honest, and you will actually be able to roll it out.
Moving to slide 13. Here is a tight 14-day rollout. Pick one decision-heavy team, not the whole company. Install 2 templates, a 1-page proposal, and a decision log that captures owner, date, rationale, and citations. Run 2 decisions end-to-end using only that system. Review your metrics, then fix the single biggest bottleneck you see, like missing authority or too many meetings. After that, scale with a short playbook and a training session that includes real examples. If you want more scripts like this, subscribe and comment with the kind of decision your team struggles with most. Don't chase every AI tool. Build the systems that outlive them.